Nothing is going on.
And in Virginia, where there's going to be a big debate tomorrow in Hot Springs, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
What do you make of how the race is looking right now?
Well, I think both sides got to face the truth that it's a toss-up. I think, Republicans haven't won a statewide race in a long time, and the Democrat party's lack of message puts them at a real disadvantage. They have been decimated nationally. I think the massive financial advantage that Ed Gillespie has is a big deal right now. But we think it's a toss-up. We're going to run it like a toss-up to the end. We don't care what the polls show. They show them tied. But Virginia public polling is garbage, and we just don't even look at it, and we just go forward and do our thing.
Tom Sherwood.
Well, it's the Virginia Bar Association.
And you should know that Tom told me before the show that if it weren't in Hot Springs, he would have thought a little bit harder about going, and he's lamenting that people aren't holding more debates that are closer to his house.
I'm very suspicious of Mr. Whitmore. If I were the state party chairman of Virginia, I'd already be at Hot Springs.
Well, I'm leaving right from here. Okay. I'm headed right down. It's at the Homestead, which is beautiful.
There was a little back and forth over the candidates, Ed Gillespie, the Republican candidate, and Ralph Northam. But they've set out a couple of debates. I think Channel 4 is doing one of the debates in Fairfax County later in the year. If you could just articulate what the significant difference is between the two, and how can Mr. Gillespie, who had a scare with Corey Stewart, how he's going to run his campaign now to make sure that doesn't happen again with Mr. Northam?
Well, I think there's significant differences. We are seeing the nomination of the three most extreme progressive candidates that Virginia's ever had. Ralph Northam supports driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. Ed Gillespie opposes it. Ralph Northam cast the vote to reject the bill that would have outlawed sanctuary cities in Virginia. Ed Gillespie says he would have signed the bill. Ed Gillespie wants to cut taxes. He has a 10% across the board tax cut for income taxes. Ralph Northam has voted for massive tax increases his entire career. Meals taxes, transportation tax increases, everything you can think of. Taxing Airbnb, for crying out loud. Ralph Northam has no actual policy message. It's all about, I don't like Donald Trump, and I want nothing to do with Trump's agenda, and he's a narcissistic maniac, he's mentally ill and whatnot. Ed Gillespie, on the other hand, has talked about how he wants to work with the administration, how he can work with the administration. Great story a couple days ago. Ed Gillespie was down in Norfolk at one of the largest, if not the largest, naval power locations in the world, and talked about how I'm going to be able as governor to work with the administration to keep Norfolk as the most powerful naval station in the world. And Ralph Northam attacked him for it, which was bizarre. I mean, they're trying so hard to lump him in with Trump that they sort of lost sight of the fact that he was talking about making sure that Hampton Roads continues to be the naval superpower that it's been traditionally. We love it when they do that, so we hope they keep that. I hope that's their campaign, because it's going to work well for us.
Well, what do you think the campaign's relationship with Trump should be? He didn't win in Virginia last year, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show. It's been 8 years since Republicans won a statewide election in Virginia. How do you see the president's political brand affecting this gubernatorial race here in Virginia in the fall?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot, and I'm on the side that believes that when you hold the White House, you have to use the prestige and the power of the presidency to your advantage in politics. I mean, you just do. Ed Gillespie should never compromise what he believes in at any point, and he never has. He's always been pretty straightforward. But look, the president's all in for Ed Gillespie. I've been in the Oval Office, talked to him myself about it. He's all in for Ed Gillespie, and should be. This is a tremendously important race for Virginia. It may be the most important in our state's history, because it's really going to determine what direction Virginia is going to go. Are we going to continue the war on coal in Southwest Virginia if Ralph Northam is elected, which the president is really interested in? Are we going to continue to degrade our veterans and hurt our military the way the Obama, McAuliffe, and Northam administrations have done? What the president has talked about. Are we going to build infrastructure? Are we going to reform our tax code? All the things the president has talked about, Ed's talking about as well. And the Republican Party has the greatest number of elected seats nationwide in 95 years. And it's all due to the fact that we've had a message that's resonated across the country and will resonate in Virginia, and the Democrats haven't.
Ed Gillespie has, Mr. Gillespie has pursued a campaign and through the primary, very similar to what Larry Hogan, the Republican governor of Maryland, has done, where he has focused on state issues and pretty much didn't even say President Trump's name and said, I'm not going to be drawn into these various issues of national. I'm trying to be the governor of Maryland. And then up until this week, Mr. Gillespie has pretty much done the same, but this week he started talking about being having President Trump maybe come to Virginia and campaign for him. But, you know, I'm looking at the television set where Sean Spicer has resigned as the press secretary for the White House, and we don't have to enumerate all the things that have been going on with President Trump. His approval ratings, as Mike just mentioned, are not very good. Is it better for Mr. Gillespie to focus on Virginia and not the National Republican Party?
I would agree with that, yes. I think not to take away from the importance of the president's help in this race, but this is a Virginia race. This is about Virginia issues. One of the things that I think the Democrats are mistakenly trying to do is to nationalize this race, make it all about Trump. You could see from the money coming in, most of it's coming from out of state. They're trying to nationalize it on down to our House of Delegates races, which, as you know, are going on this year as well. And their whole message is, we don't like Donald Trump.
Tom Perriello did not succeed trying to make it a national Democratic race. He lost to Mr. Northam.
He did, and I think whichever candidate connects with Virginia voters is the one that's going to win. There's no question that the national politics of the day color Virginia elections. We are too close to Washington, D.C. here in Northern Virginia. You know, if there's a government shutdown, for example, that was a devastating impact on Ken Cuccinelli in 2013. Right. So things like that. Look, and Ed Gillespie, you're not going to see him campaigning on a drain the swamp message like the president does, because, look, I mean, I live in Northern Virginia, I live in Loudoun County. I'm an attorney. A lot of my clients are government workers. We all respect that we have thousands and thousands of government workers in Northern Virginia. Ed Gillespie gets that. He's from Fairfax.
Yeah, we're swampies.
Well, look, I mean, you know, I'm very proud to live here. I'm very proud that the federal government feeds the Virginia economy. You know, Virginia is a better place to live because we are so close to this wonderful city, Washington, D.C. You know, draining the swamp